Yes, I know, this review of Arslan is a little bit late. Some are asking me in my Taizai review, is the Arslan review coming? Yes, it is coming, don't worry. The reason why this is late is because the episode was delayed yesterday. I was unaware that it was delayed, and I decided to play Smite all day yesterday, so please forgive me for that. That is my excuse. I know it's not a good excuse, but I'm just letting you know I was playing some games yesterday. It completely didn't cross my mind when I was sitting back and, playing games. I didn't realize Arslan came out, so forgive me, but here is the review. So, Arslan supposedly is going to have a recap episode next week. From what I am hearing, it's going to have a recap, and I think it needs a recap for one specific reason, which was very obvious. Actually, there's two reasons. For one, the anime season is ending. Spring 2015 is coming to a close. This week, pretty much everything that is, ending from spring is ending this week. And usually when it comes to stuff like that, anime seasons, there usually is a recap episode, let's say 12.5 or 13.5 or whatever type of episodes, with a 0.5, that are usually recaps to just give a break, some filler in between the seasons. For instance, before, let's say, summer 2015 comes around, there's a little bit of a break for the staff to just readjust and get ready for the next upcoming episodes to come out. And that's kind of what I think is going on here, because besides, taking a break and getting ready for the next season or the second half of Arslan, obviously the budget took a huge direct hit in this episode. It was a critical, man. It was straight up a critical hit, because the art, not the animation, but the art of this episode was very jarring in certain places throughout this episode. I don't think I'm the only one that probably noticed that, because the mouth movements to the way the characters were drawn and the way some of the frames were used over and over again throughout this episode, it felt very, very off compared to previous episodes, because Arslan usually has very good quality animation and art. It really does. Usually Arslan does, besides, CGI. But there was a lot of issues I noticed in this episode when it came to the art, not animation, art, and it looked very weird. And so usually a recap also is to readjust the budget and get ready for the season, for the staff can take a break and catch up to their work and production. And I think that's exactly what is going on here, because Shirobako also kind of taught us a little bit of stuff about that and why recaps are kind of essential to anime, or anime studios. So moving past that point, now that I've kind of explained that and talked about that in the art and animation, episode overall, there's a couple points to really talk about. For one thing, the old man that we were introduced to, with this episode, we get to see some characterization with him, he dies. And for the most part, I have to be honest here, I can't really feel sad to where I want to cry or anything, because the dude was just kind of introduced with this episode. He was getting some characterization, and he just died like that. The only real purpose that character kind of had at the moment was to give progression for Arslan, or MC, and also reveal any theories we had about maybe Arslan being a bastard. Now, this is what was very interesting about this episode. The main thing you do want to pluck out of this episode, Arslan supposedly is confirmed to be a bastard. For instance, he is not really the proper son to the throne. He doesn't deserve the throne because he's a bastard that really can't, have the last name of the king. And that is kind of why he's not a proper prince. It's kind of like, Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. And I see a lot of similar things to Game of Thrones in Arslan, which is just very weird. The slavery to, the different things with the prince, to, how the white mask, there's so many things that remind me of Game of Thrones, but that's just, because I was, binge watching season 1 once again of Game of Thrones, because I haven't watched it in a long time. But, back on point, episode overall, though, we get to see how the white mask was just very scared of the fire. When Arslan grabbed the fire and he started getting scared, he tensed up. He's like, oh shit, the fire, the fire! We knew this dude was, kind of scared of fire because it was hinted at. And, it is traumatic. If you were in a situation in your past where fire, killed your family, burnt down your home, and you got your face burnt half off, I think you would probably be traumatized by fire. So it kind of makes sense how he was scared of fire and why he froze up like he did. I don't know how some would probably feel about that. I'm curious about how you Chibits feel about that scene specifically when it comes to him getting tensed and, fearing the fire. But there is one thing I have to point out. The white mask dude, he was monologuing. He was straight up monologuing against Arslan. Like, if that dude would have stopped monologuing, you know, like, I'm gonna cut off your hands, I'm gonna cut off this hand, I'm gonna cut off that hand, I'm gonna cut off your leg. If he would have not monologued, the dude actually could have killed Arslan. I mean, his monologuing costed him to hurt Arslan. Let's be real here. If you wouldn't have sat there and talk, like if you would have been like Dio, charging him while he's talking, trying to kill people while he's talking, he could have, you know, cut off an arm from Arslan, because obviously when it came to the swordsmanship between Arslan and the White Mask, the dude just wrecked Arslan. Arslan was like a baby chicken compared to him. Like, it yeah, it was a sad game. Like, that's it. So, overall, loved the episode. It was good. Just the only problem I can really say with this episode was the art style, but we have a recap next week, so no review next week, supposedly, if it is a recap. But it's a break for the anime studio to be able to adjust for the upcoming season. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.